வணக்கம். Let us discuss a set of existential threat to humanity and the role of American Psychiatric Association, American Psychological Association, and World Health Organization in nourishing the threat. Few delusions and a flock of delusional folks are posing existential threat to humanity. Let me provide concise and precise definition and diagnostic criteria for delusion and few well-known but unspoken major subtypes of it. A delusion is a fixed false belief or belief system that is held with confidence, notwithstanding any contrary evidence. It may be on any theme or subject. 1. Inability to find the logic behind the belief or belief system. 2. Illogical rationalization of the belief or belief system. 3. Severe discomfort is experienced while encountering and or examining the evidence. 4. Aversion towards any contradicting evidence. 5. Inability to discard the belief or belief system in the face of evidence to the contrary. 1. Inability to provide a logically sound reason. 2. Averting and aversion towards any contradicting evidence. Persistence of one or more false beliefs, notwithstanding any contrary evidence, after 5 or more reality checks. Apart from attitudes and behaviors directly related to the delusion, no cognitive behavioral dysfunction is evident. Symptoms and signs are not attributable to organic conditions such as brain trauma or brain tumor, etc. Are not attributable to other psychological conditions such as psychosis, depression, etc. Not attributable to drugs, prescribed or not, such as corticosteroids, alcohol, etc. Racial supremacy. The central theme of this type of delusion is claiming and accepting superiority and inferiority based on race. Complexion supremacy. The central theme of this type of delusion is claiming and accepting superiority and inferiority based on complexion. Eugenics. The central theme of this type of delusion is claiming and accepting innate superiority and inferiority based on pseudoscientific genetic theories. All the three subtypes share the following symptoms and signs: supercilious attitudes, supercilious behaviors, and malice against inferior groups as per the delusional individual or society. Verbal and or physical violence against inferior groups as per the delusional individual or society. These mental disorders are not listed on American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostics and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders or the World Health Organization's International Classification of Disease for Mortality and Morbidity Statistics, because these disorders are highly prevalent in these organizations. If you look at the founding principles and functions of these organizations, it will become evident. The American Psychiatric Association and the American Psychological Association actively engage in protecting and propagating these delusional disorders, and the World Health Organization, by neglecting these issues, by not talking and taking any steps decisively, they help protect and propagate these delusional disorders. In essence, these associations and organizations are committing crimes casually against humanity, loudly and proudly. The impacts of these mental disorders on humanity are very well documented in the scientific literature and in historical records. The ICD has the time, space, and willingness to list agoraphobia under anxiety or fear related disorders, and does not have the time, space, and virtues to list racial, complexional, and eugenics supremacy disorder. The DSM has the time and space to list erotomanic and jealous subtypes, but not the time, space, and virtues to list racial, complexional, and eugenic supremacy subtypes. There are millions of racial, complexional, eugenic delusional individuals and only few thousands of erotomanic and jealously delusional and agoraphobic folks. These are delusional criminal organizations without brains but with power and ill intent. Contemporary psychology is a pseudoscience established recently as a separate discipline by the white people for protecting and propagating whiteness, white folks, white epistemologies, white interests, and white supremacy to victimize the non whites. Nothing scientific about it. There is no consensus on the subject matter of psychology. There is no consensus on its core concepts. Its theoretical foundations are flimsy. Its real world applications are next to nothing. It is a white pseudoscience. What's so heart-wrenching? What's so heart-wrenching is that there is no consensus on the definition of the term science itself. The malicious men and women of psychology are babbling about empirical evidences, and I don't think they could even spell it right. We just have crossed 3/4 of a century after the so called World War II, in which Nazi pseudoscientists were measuring racial supremacy and intelligence with scales and calipers. Hitler gave orders and authorized pseudoscientists to sterilize children, to kill people, children too, whom the racially biased and mentally ill pseudoscientists deem inferior, ill, mentally and physically incurable, and considered having a life unworthy of living. These scientifically and morally filthy ideas still exist hale and healthy in societies in the filthy Nazi lineage. No one knows how the Nazi pseudoscientists came up with measuring racial supremacy and intelligence with scales and calipers. And today, no one knows how people came up with the IQ tests. Without empirical evidence, no consensus can be achieved healthily, and there exists no consensus on the definition of the term intelligence. However, we have fancy journals for intelligence alone, and they claim empirical evidences like the Nazis. Foundation of psychology is filthy and flimsy. Unclear principles, behind door practices, illogical rationalization, abuse of statistics, near zero practical application, hindrance to non white scholars, cancel culture, no decisive efforts to reform and revolutionize the field, vast prevalence of ignorance, arrogance, and adamance in societies and in the field of psychology. Along with the algorithms, artificial intelligence, degree inflation, publish or perish pressure, publication inflation, decreasing demands for human intelligence, decreasing resources, and poor lifestyles of peoples around the globe are in perfect proportion and alignment to readily welcome immoral pseudoscientific eugenic programs such as racial cleansing, forced sterilization, the T for euthanasia programs, etc. The cancerous growth of the influence of American Psychological Association across the globe in the name of Memorandum of Understanding. The cancerous growth of the American Psychiatric Association's diagnostic manuals use, the silence of the WHO's ICD team till date, clear markers of the existence, infectivity, pathogenicity, and virulence of the supremacistic ideologies and the propagation of it. Have a look at their apology letters. It is for people of color, as if white isn't a color. If we are people of color, what are they? Colorless people. Knowingly and unknowingly, many news media, research articles, textbooks, and even non white governmental officials are using the phrase. I urge, I, I urge everyone to stop using the phrase people of color, which is a clear white-centric, white-supremacistic perspective of others. Every individual and people are colorful, both physically and mentally. In contemporary medical practice, euthanasia is not infrequent. There is an increasing propensity towards assisted deaths. Lawfully, newborns, children, and people with dementia can be euthanized and assisted to death. Even euthanasia for everyone over the age 70 is now being considered. Terminal illness is no longer a prerequisite for committing and assisting suicide. Non-whites, brace yourselves. Mixed whites, brace yourselves. Poor whites, brace yourselves. Morally and legally speaking, racial supremacism, complexion supremacism, and eugenics are crimes against humanity. Psychologically speaking, these are mental disorders. Empirically speaking, these mental disorders and crimes are increasing at an alarming rate around the globe. These are imminent existential threats to humanity. American Psychological Association, American Psychiatric Association, and World Health Organization are criminal organizations that are committing crimes against humanity casually, daily. Immediate governmental, scholarly, and societal attention is needed. I acknowledge and appreciate the virtues of the white people who were and who are against white supremacy. I acknowledge and appreciate the virtues of any and all individuals and societies of all times who were and who are against innate supremacism. Take a look at those who suffered because of the Nazi pseudoscience eugenics. Be prepared. You may be the next one. Your spouse may be the next one. Your child may be the next one. Your grandchildren may be the next one on the list. Your colleague or your beloved friend may be on the next one. Or all of them or all of you may be on the list. As long as the eugenics and psychology pseudoscience exists in the mainstream, As long as these organizations founded and run by the pseudoscientific principles exist, humanity will suffer.